Hey there riders, Kris from mcnews.com.au here in Malaga in Spain. I'm here for the launch, as you can see, of the new Husqvarna 401s. We've got the Svartpilen here. Let's have a bit of a talk about the 401 Svartpilen and really jump straight into the onboard footage. And from there, we'll get into the real meat of exactly what's been done with this bike and how I think it's improved over the older model, which I actually own, funnily enough. And I'm absolutely astonished at basically just how evolved this machine is and just how much better Husqvarna have made it over the outgoing model.
So how is the Svartpilen 401 to ride? We had some of the best roads I've ever seen on our test route in Spain, which certainly helps, but my first impression of the updated machine is a class-leading option. Telepathic handling, amazing suspension, an incredibly refined single cylinder, good comfort, inviting ergos, extensive electronics for the segment, and well-balanced, powerful brakes. What a combination! I've always been happy with my 21 model Svartpilen 401, but the 2024 takes things a step further, basically everywhere. The only thing I like more about my old model is the more traditional exhaust. The test route included endless sweeping twisties and a narrow, tighter section through some rolling hills, complete with some debris on the road, but no gravel or off-roading. Perfect conditions for the Svartpilen 401 to show off the drastically updated platform, keeping in mind the Svartpilen runs the dual-purpose wheels as a scrambler and the Vitpilen in comparison is the pure road rubber version. Kicking off with that engine, you're getting a sporty, fast revving and exceptionally smooth single cylinder. A gentle throttle open from standstill develops into linear power through the vast majority of the rev range. You just rev until that shift light starts flashing across the dash and then use the shift assist to clutchless upshift from there. The Svartpilen begs to be ridden hard and rewards you for doing so with exceptional performance on tap. I saw 150 km per hour at one point with another journo mentioning 160. I didn't get the opportunity to test past there, but I've seen 180 on some of the other 400s and have a feeling the 401 loses out a little on top speed. Not that I imagine most riders would miss that top speed, to be honest, but it's worth noting, these all being dash figures of course. The biggest takeaway for me, mechanically the engine is much smoother and less vibey compared to the previous generation. That's beneficial everywhere. I was more inclined to hold gears longer, highway speeds are more comfortable, and aggressive downshifts keeping the bike higher in the rev range with the slipper clutch also coming into play are much more rewarding. Maybe there's a little of the rawness of the previous engine lost, but that's a happy compromise I'll make for the general improvements, which I think will give new riders more confidence and make the bike feel a bit more premium as well. It's like Husqvarna have polished up the engine, metaphorically. That's backed up by a seriously cool electricery loadout with cornering traction control, road and rain modes, and a TFT display with phone syncing including nav. The old dash being replaced is huge, and all those extras with some very nice new switch blocks give the bike a more premium feel. The chassis also takes things up a notch, new frame, new swing arm, revised brake calipers, a longer wheelbase by 10mm, and a bigger bike feel overall to the Svartpilen 401. Where the old bike seemed quite short front to back and very tall at the seat, the new bike is more the norm. The bigger fuel tank at 13 litre helps here, but the bike feels more substantial without being heavy. Seat height is a little lower at 820mm too, from 835mm, and Husqvarna reckon there's a 40mm improvement in standover, or basically from 1 foot across the bike to the other. So a little more than the seat height alone would purely suggest. 820mm is still tallish when we think about competition often being in the 785mm to 805mm range, but we're also seeing 150mm of travel at each end from the suspenders and 180mm of ground clearance, both of which are generous figures for the segment. The Svartpilen 401 has also been somewhat of a scalpel in the handling side of things, bordering on being a bit flighty, especially as you get to the extreme end of the speeds the bike is capable of. The model update maintains that quick handling with a side of stability that's noticeable in most riding situations. At highway speeds, the Svart feels, well, more stable, especially if you're pushing past 120 km per hour, and that extended all the way to the top of 150 that I saw. That's better stability at 150 than the outgoing version at say 100 or 110, and extends to the cornering feel, which is more planted on the side of those Rally STR tyres. Turning in is also a strong point, particularly on the brakes, with a slightly gentler bite, making for smoother transitions on and off those brakes. That makes that front brake in particular far more usable and more effective, giving better confidence. At 75 kilos, the suspension performance was also exceptional, well damped, comfortable and controlled. No wallow, no harshness over bumps or speed bumps. Even hard on the brakes, the bike was super composed. I could feel the rear getting very light a couple of times when I got really hard on that front anchor, but there was no dive on the forks even there. I highly rate the suspension as a result, with adjustability changed so you've got 5 clicks of rebound and compression on the front, and 5 clicks of rebound on the rear plus preload. That's compared to the 30-30 front and 25 rear previously as far as clicks, making for a simpler, easier to adjust system for new riders where adjustment should offer more tangible changes, as you're now basically doing 5 or 6 clicks in one go. I'd have played around with the suspension, but it was perfect, to be honest. Part of that is no doubt the roads being amazingly surfaced. Australian government, please take note. But I've still got to give enormous props to the chassis updates. The best demonstration there was probably when a couple of big 1300 adventure bikes and touring bikes overtook us on a big straight, only to end up getting out of shape into the twisties. Riding the smaller bike behind one, it was almost comical, watching the bigger bike pitching forward on the brakes into the corners and having to wash off far more speed. Could most of the 400 class done similar? Well, yes, but I don't think many would have been anywhere near as composed as the Svartpilen, with the ease of riding at pace also a big factor, boosting confidence. Overall, the 2024 Svartpilen 401 is a seriously refined machine, offering the kind of loadout we'd expect on a much pricier and larger capacity machine. Priced at $8,750 right away here in Australia and arriving in July, there's been a small price bump for all these updates, but the bike remains competitive on this factor and offers the most impressive loadout in the Class 2, matched only by the latest 390 Duke, unless I've totally forgotten a competitor. I wouldn't mind spending a bit more time on the new Svartpilen 401, of course, to test out how it handles our unmaintained roads here in Australia, as well as seeing how the machine handles more commuting style conditions and even a bit of gravel, where I think the extra stability will actually be a big boon. But initial impressions are that the Svartpilen is going to be hard to beat in class and a seriously rewarding machine for any new rider or any experienced rider who likes the smaller capacity machines. Taking a quick look at the dash, there's lots going on, including a side stand warning and shift warning graphic, with the settings offering ride modes, street or rain, ABS in road or supermoto modes, which is rear ABS off for the latter, plus traction control on or off, and importantly, traction control and ABS are both cornering. Easy shift can be on or off too, and you can customize that dash to choose what's visible, which clears things up a little, if that's your thing, all via a very intuitive left switch block.
So that is an overview of the Svartpilen 401, definitely my favorite of these two models, and certainly the bike that I would be recommending that you check out as a new rider. I think this is kind of a bit of a hidden machine, a bit of a sleeper machine that a lot of people don't realize exists, and is probably one of the best options as far as value for money and loadout available in this segment. Go check one out, go jump on one. If you've got any questions at all, let me know down below in the comments.